Hey everybody, this is a different kind of content, so, thank you so much for watching. Let me know down below what you guys think of this because I want to do a little bit something different moving forward with the channel, just little breakdowns of things that I find across the internet that just don't seem to line up with reality. Today I want to talk to you guys about Cartoon Network is not dying. That is a misinformation that is being spread. It's simply not that straightforward. There's more to this conversation that people just are not bringing up in contextualization. And I have a thing pulled up here, if I can bring that up. Ooh, phone cam. Nope, that's end screen, phone cam. Okay. Cartoon Network reports it is not shutting down amid rumors. Y'all, we are not dead. We are just turning 30. So this was posted by businessinsider.com, a website that I follow somewhat every now and then when it's something relevant to my life, and they seem to be pretty good at hitting the mark from my perspective. So on October 14th, I believe it was on Twitter, Cartoon Network responded to a post saying, "Y'all, we are not dead. We are just turning 30." And something along the lines of Cartoon Network is just doing something different. Where everybody thinks that Cartoon Network is dying is actually because of a $3 billion cost-cutting effort after Warner Brothers merged with Discovery in April. So, obviously a company wouldn't be shutting down if they're merging with something like Discovery, Discovery being the Discovery Channel. It just seems to me that they are removing portions of their studio, downsizing a lot in order to accommodate Discovery moving in or them moving into Discovery or vice versa. I don't know the context of what's going on behind the merging of Warner Brothers and Discovery. But for those of you who don't know, Warner Brothers owns Boomerang, Cartoon Network, Discovery, and a bunch of other stuff. I believe they have connections with HBO, as it says in the line below. Impact on networks like HBO and HBO Max, which slashed jobs and began quickly removing programming in August. Now, this is where a lot of people seem to get their idea that Cartoon Network is going to be a dead company or a failed company, along with societal views, sociology, and things like that. I'm sure this isn't the first time a company has faced this kind of lashback from generational differences, but as we get older, we typically become jaded to the content we may have enjoyed as a kid, such as cartoons, meaning that your representation in the demographic slowly wanes, and I'm sure a company like Cartoon Network is well aware of the demographical differences as children grow up into adults. And this is something that YouTubers are beginning to notice. Um, a lot of people are recognizing that a lot of the kids who enjoyed Markiplier, say 6 years ago, might not be watching Markiplier anymore, but that does not change the relevancy of Markiplier or the credit of his work to Markiplier. Clearly, Markiplier is still a phenomenal content creator and will continue to be a phenomenal content creator as he adjusts to maintain what demographic that person chooses. So here on my channel, I typically choose to go with a demographic of people who are more casual, more calm, more interested in looking at breakdowns of story, video game mechanics, looking at full games, emulation, our right to privacy, our right to that kind of stuff. And this falls in line with that because at the end of the day, there is a level of rightful demographic viewing, rightful company changes that Warner Brothers slash Cartoon Network has a right to change. So um, HBO and HBO Max, they saw programming removals, and that's super interesting because you would think streaming services bring in a lot of money, but apparently from my research, streaming services don't bring in that much money because there's a overhead of, say, HBO taking a percentage of the viewer count. I don't know their business model, but if you look into things like Spotify, the model is not phenomenal for, say, a musician. So if it's anything along those lines, obviously that is not a very good situation for a company that is probably riding a bleeding edge at this point in history, where maybe their demographic viewing is going down. They're working with artists that just aren't hitting the right buttons. I'm not one to say. I'm not all that jaded to cartoons. If a cartoon is on, it could be something new, it could be something old, and I will most likely enjoy it because I understand the complexities that go into animation, the hard work that goes into animation. So I just appreciate it in that regard. But when you serialize so many things, that's just the way it is. And we saw things that are very popular. There's quite a few YouTubers who talk about this stuff, and they talk about older cartoons or they talk about newer cartoons, and they break it down from the perspective of being an adult and trying to get what they appreciated as a kid once again, and that can be very difficult. Anyways, in a memo to staffers reported by Variety, Warner Bros. TV Group Chairman Channing Dungey wrote to the company is implementing a new streamlined structure for animation, but not announce any program cancellations, which is super interesting. Um, because if they're downsizing, it could just very well be that they're trying to save the $3 billion, and they're saying, we want to utilize new efforts in order to support their programming. I don't know the context of what Channing is talking about. It's possible that this is a company that used very old school animation and very rarely used new school animation, or they have people who are coming in expecting, big Wacom tablets and ease of access, server access, in order to have a very streamlined effort of animating. And maybe they didn't have that over at Cartoon Network, and working with something like Discovery and having a, you know, downsizing in that regard will allow them to get rid of older technology and upgrade the entirety of their framework in order to support future artists who are coming out of school or pitching them concepts and accommodating a more modern style of cartoon creation. I want to stay as positive as I can with Cartoon Network, and I'll explain why in a minute. Because there is current evidence that states that Cartoon Network is redirecting into a new style of getting their content to their audience. So this is one of the posts that we are regularly seeing. This was made by Complex Plot and many others who are retweeting this, resharing this, and this is the Cartoon Network 1992 to 2022. Pretty much already stating that Cartoon Network is dead, even though the evidence is outstanding that that is just simply not the case. We currently have seen no evidence that Cartoon Network is going anywhere. We need to be a little bit more patient and see what happened with the downsizing. I'm sure there's going to be quite a few people who come out and say, I worked for Cartoon Network and this is the story, if they're not under something like an NDA. Assuming they're not under an NDA, I would say probably within the next 2 weeks. It's October 19th at this current time, 3 days after this article was posted. And I think it's like, what, 6 days or 5 days after the original tweet. Um, I tried to stay patient. I tried to see if anything else would come out regarding this conversation, and I have not seen anything at all. So we can scroll over. You can see Cartoon Network gave us too many classics. Again, assuming that they are closed, we're seeing posts like this, which are, looking at the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2010s. Um, Content. Samurai Jack is not a failed franchise in any regard. We know about season 5. We know that recently Adult Swim released a video game. There's a lot of other companies that are heading a lot of these movements. We have Boomerang, which is also airing things like Dexter's Laboratory, Looney Tunes, and all of that stuff, Fred Flintstone, etc. A lot of Hanna-Barbera content. And I would just assume that Discovery Channel is just going to fall in line with that kind of stuff. I mean, at the worst, we might see something like a Cartoon Network rebrand or a change in name, but yeah, that doesn't really seem to be realistic, as we have evidence that that probably won't be happening. So we have a lot of these classic cartoons that are being shared by these companies and people as if the company is gone. These are like remembrance posts that This company made a lot of classics that people love and will continue to love until they die, essentially. So, anyways, looking further down, you can see this is the end of the article, but I want to bring something else to your attention that just seems to be pointing in the right direction. So I'm gonna pull that up real quick. So I only forgot one thing. Oop, I spelled it wrong. All right, so if we take a look at the Cartoon Network website here, you can see unlock full episodes. It appears to me that Cartoon Network is attempting to release maybe their own app. As you can see, there is a mobile app here and the unlocked button. Let's take a look at that. So this seems to have their own uh, built-in browser into their own website, which is odd to me, and I'll show you why in a second, because embedding it like this is just a little weird. But you can see, unlocked episodes. You can watch all of these episodes for free. I'm assuming they're going to have some level of advertising on them, and I'll get to why I think that is in a moment. But there are a lot of shows that you can pull up right now and watch on their website for free. Obviously, not everything is free, but you can get the Cartoon Network app, which I'm going to have to assume also has a fully embedded their own browser functionality. They probably want this to be their own thing. They're deviating from things like HBO and HBO Max in order to develop their own Android and iPhone based applications. As you can see, they have quite a few applications here. $3.99, $2.99, pretty cheap. If you're a big fan of things like Ben 10 and Teeny Titans and whatnot. These are opportunities for you to get more content in these form of these apps, which just tells me that maybe they're downsizing. Also included them rehiring new people or getting new people on board with a different skill set. The skill set seems to be more of a modern take, more of a you know, encompassing the modern demographic of what people expect to be able to watch things on their iPad, watch things on their iPod. And I think originally the idea with teaming up with, say, something like HBO Max, which I don't know who owns HBO Max. So let me just real quick Google who owns HBO. Okay, so HBO is owned by Warner Brothers as well. So obviously them pulling their programming of cartoons off of HBO is probably more of a move to then create a more kid-friendly opportunity. Streaming is like the future. So Warner Brothers at the end of the day might just be incorporating Discovery, which if I'm not mistaken, Discovery has a streaming app. Yeah, Discovery Plus. So they probably already have a team over at Discovery Plus that is working on these apps and working on a streaming network just for cartoons. Just this is speculation, of course. Don't take what I'm saying super seriously. But if I had to guess, Cartoon Network is trying to move into a content creation forward company where it's independently viewed off of HBO, which has a lot more adult content accessible by, say, a child. And protecting children is always important. You don't want your kid watching super violent or super sexual content just because an app also has Courage the Cowardly Dog on it. So, always take that as a grain of salt. And then we also have the Cartoon Network YouTube channel, which has been super active as of late, multiple uploads a day. And of course, they are a verified account. They have the Cartoon Network website linked here, which immediately prompts you with an advertisement to get the apps, which some of them cost a little bit of money. But what's super interesting is if you scroll down, you have again full episodes streaming. You have their live stream, which acts similarly to that of a YouTube live stream. It is a YouTube live stream with ads. It has everything it needs, and it's constantly live streaming full episodes of their programming for their 30th anniversary. My guess is this is another effort for them to recoup some money as they move into building things like server structures in order to streamline a streaming service and streamline a Cartoon Network dedicated streaming service. They might be using that money to buy more IPs. Purchasing IPs is an extremely smart option if they can get their hands on, say, Gravity Falls from Disney XD or something like that, and pay for it entirely, and then stream that on their service for a cost. They will eventually recoup the cost of the payment structure because a lot of people might see that and clout chase it into supporting their service. But I mean, they don't really need it. As you could see, they are pandering to all audiences here. They're creating content regarding Dexter's Laboratory, which is early 2000s and stuff like that. They're getting clips from crossover events that otherwise I don't know if have been seen. It seems like it's very possible that if you're not paying attention to this channel, there could be lost content popping up here as they're going through their archive and moving them onto YouTube and moving them onto some form of streaming service. So, in my opinion, I don't think Cartoon Network is going anywhere at all. It seems to me that Cartoon Network is going to be a powerhouse moving forward. It's going to become a very, very focused, cartoon centric company, similarly to that of Adult Swim. Adult Swim is another phenomenal way to look at the Warner Brothers overhead because Adult Swim is doing a lot to make sure that they remain relevant on the internet. And Cartoon Network and Adult Swim have been doing content on the Adult Swim channel for their more adult audiences that pander to these cartoons as well by creating ARGs and events where special episodes have been created and posted by Adult Swim that have little ARG storylines within them, and they have Cat Ghost and all these other cartoons that I'm sure these people are also working alongside Cartoon Network and the creation of those cartoons and pushing this new um, adventure. So if we go to Adult Swim's website, you know, Adult Swim has had its own streaming service for a while, and as you can see, once again, we don't have HBO Max or anything like that. They're trying to deviate and create their own market. So, you can get the Adult Swim app, which has, again, a full in streaming service that you can subscribe to have all of your favorite Adult Swim content. And personally, I think that the attempt is there to follow the methodology of Adult Swim. They tested it first with what is considered or possibly a smaller content community, a smaller demographic, and Cartoon Network can follow that demographic and make more money in the long term by modernizing their company, building the infrastructure to support the company, and get this kind of content where the total overhead and income is directly Cartoon Network, directly Adult Swim, etc. And using something like YouTube, where they can have a massive backlog of their content, shorts, advertisements, full episodes. And as you can see, as you scroll down, these are not full episodes. These are just bits and pieces of episodes as you scroll down. It's only in recent episodes that they've put up where you're seeing full episode and full episode and full episode. So I'm guessing there was some kind of copyright issue dealing with something like HBO. It doesn't matter that it's a part of Warner Brothers. If it's its own affiliate, if they uploaded a full episode, it could be DMCA'd and have to be fought within the company structure in order to then prove that this is a Cartoon Network channel, which now it's verified, obviously, and it's not on HBO Max, and they're creating their own live streaming service. So they're also creating this alternate revenue stream of very little overhead where they can put full episodes, clips, advertisements for their app, full on live streams here on YouTube in order to get people involved in their app streaming structure, get more people actively watching their content. giving people opportunities to become invested in an episode by giving people full episodes, but maybe not the entire series. We can go over to the playlist here, and you can see um, where their live stream is all of the full episodes. So somebody is going through and giving us the full episodes within a playlist of this Cartoon Network anniversary live stream. I don't expect this to stop. I would say it is in the best interest with all of the layoffs to have a very low overhead portion of the company on YouTube, pushing people with content that might fall without answers to push people to want to continue watching that episode. And then obviously here you see that Cartoon Network is advertising their website, which will then immediately prompt them with a advertisement of the mobile app and more unlocked episodes. But once again, those unlocked episodes will not be the entirety of the show. You will need to buy into the app in order to then watch all of the content. So, these are things that are important to keep in mind. Cartoon Network, in my opinion, and from all of the evidence that I see, is not going anywhere. I hope this has been really informative. I hope this is a video that you guys like to see. I've been really inspired by Moist Critical as late to make content similar to that. I want to be more participative in my content creation. I want to do things that are a little bit different, where I speculate on things that I'm passionate about. I want to share that with the community and be very clear that all of this is allegations, this is opinions, these are not fact checked, these are just things that I saw and I felt inclined to talk about. So if you've enjoyed this video and you want to see more, hit the subscribe button. Leave me a comment. What do you think? Do you think I'm way off the ball? Is there things that I missed? Don't forget to cite yourself, put down links, put down things that clearly show honesty and transparency. I've tried to be as transparent here on my thought and my processes here. So make sure you do the same. And I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.